Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. It's Jo of SportsGrid and it's time for a Puck It with Jo. We have 5 games on the slate today, so let's get right to these games. But before I forget to let you guys know, join me on Game Time Decisions at 7 o'clock Eastern with Kevin Walsh. We'll be going over hockey a little bit more there. And if you haven't downloaded the SportsGrid app, make sure you go and you do so. You don't want to miss out on all of the great content. Now I'm seeing all of your messages coming in. Jo, enjoy the gym. Let's make this a money today. So Columbus under 2.5 last night. I'm glad it saved you there. We were able to get that one. There was a couple of good, solid ones we hit yesterday. So happy hump day, Kev and Matt. Let's make some freaking money. Kings cruise to the puck line win. What a crazy goal that was by Bayfield out there. So good morning to Down Under. So let's get to these ones. McKinnon coming in with those shots on goal yesterday. It was a good day out there on the ice. There's a couple of players who just didn't show up like I expected, but we got some of those unders that were kind of scary. We're going to look at today's slate, though. The Buffalo Sabres taking on the Montreal Canadiens. One game that I can't take to the under. So let's look at the odds. All odds are provided over on FanDuel. We got a total of 6.5. Now that is juiced to the over at -122. But I understand why. Goaltending has been a huge issue. Sam Montague, I did have a lot of faith in him at one point in the season, and he's just been shaky, to say the best, for the Montreal Canadiens. And the Buffalo Sabres offensively have been nice and fast out there on the ice. They've been getting great puck movement. So I do think this one has a possibility of going over at -122. I think there's value. I couldn't take it to the under with what I've seen out of both of these teams because I do think Montreal will fight and be able to get the puck in the back of the net as well. Looking at the sides, it's -150 here for the Buffalo Sabres. It's +125 for the Montreal Canadiens. And this seems like a really good price for Montreal at home. But then when you start digging into it further and you're looking at Buffalo here, Buffalo's off that loss to the Ducks and how they lost that one. I think they're going to be frustrated coming into this game. And this is also dads and mentors trip here for the Buffalo Sabres. And that really does put a little bit of extra pep in their step out there, if we want to say it that way. And I do think we're going to get a lot out of the Buffalo Sabres tonight. So I think high scoring game. I could see this being 5-4. I really don't want to take a side in this one because I can see a way Montreal can get the win at home. If Sam Montague plays better, I don't trust Langeken either. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the Buffalo Sabres team total. I think they have every ability to hit those 4 goals. So the rest will depend on Montreal if they're able to win this in a 5-4 situation, or if we see the Buffalo Sabres win this 4-3. So the over 3.5 for the Buffalo Sabres is -106. When you read the press releases and heard them talking about the last game, they're talking about how they just had some sloppy play out there on the ice versus the Anaheim Ducks. They were able to really get all that momentum with those shots on goal, but those shots just weren't high danger enough. They weren't able to find the back of Gibson's net in that game. And I do think we see more out of them in this one. And you can't really trust Montreal with what we've seen out of them. That's why I don't want to take their team total. And plus the books are giving us 2.5 at like -178. So I like the Sabres team total over 3.5 at -106. Again, I do think it's a 5-4 game. So if you want to hit Montreal over 3.5 and get some plus money, I don't blame you. You look at how strong Nick Suzuki has been out there for the Montreal Canadiens, and he's been absolutely phenomenal. But you take him out. Well, you took Monahan out of the lineup, and that's really what happened for this team. As soon as Monahan went out of the lineup, this team has absolutely been struggling to really score those goals. But Nick Suzuki has been a difference maker. Now, if you're looking for playmakers for the Buffalo Sabres, I think this is a great one to prop bet these players for those anytime goals with their dads and mentors there. So grandfathers, old coaches, father-like figures in the stands for them. I expect these players to really step up. So Tage Thompson, you got to look at him for that anytime goal. And Jeff Skinner, those would be my go-tos, but go down the list. Go down to one of those players who we normally don't see a lot of production. Maybe look at their points tonight, because I do think this team shows up big on this first one of the trip here. So I'm liking it in this one. Yeah, the Rangers For sure, Rangers were able to come out strong. You're gonna take Montreal on the money line, and I don't blame you. The value we're getting in Montreal is there. So I think the safest way is just take the Sabres team total over the 3.5. But Montreal, like I said, could win this 5-4. This is one that could go to overtime. I do think these teams battle it out that close. So thank you for the love. That is so sweet of you. The over and the over 1.5 in this game. I don't mind the over 1.5 for his shots at all. I do think it's a strong way to go. Bright and cheery today. We're bright and cheery today. The sun is shining here in YYC, so it's a good one. And yeah, the dads showing up in Buffalo. It is a huge thing for the dads and the mentors to come along to these trips. You really do see the players get up. Everyone wants to impress their dad. Let's look at the next one here. The Philadelphia Flyers. Now the Flyers taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. This is one where I would love to get behind the Blackhawks at home because they're a huge dog. They're almost a $2 dog at home. They're plus 195 here on the money line, minus 140 here for the Flyers. And this is a team, it's hard to have a lot of faith in the Flyers. Total 6.5. Minus 140 to the under. And that really is because the Chicago Blackhawks are struggling to score. Plus 114 to the over. Now, I'm going to look at the Flyers in this one, and it's kind of like, where are we going to make money? Betting the Flyers because they're such a big favorite. Again, I think this is a team total situation. Sonderblom will be in net tonight for the Chicago Blackhawks. He's got a 4.01 goals against average, so he's absolutely been struggling out there on the season. An 873 save percentage. So I don't trust him. And you look at the Flyers, this team, while they don't have a strong power play, they are averaging 33.6 shots on net per game. So unless Sonderblom all of a sudden changes around his season, this is an easy one for me to take the Flyers team total over 3.5. It is juicy at minus 124 though, but I still think this is a value, especially when you look at the Flyers and they really are fighting for a playoff spot. They're sitting third in the Metro right now. So they need every single win that they can get. Erson will be in net for the Flyers tonight. This team is only averaging right on that 2.91 goals per game. But again, I really do think they step up, especially against the defense here, the Chicago Blackhawks, that allows their goaltenders to be absolutely peppered, allowing an average of 32.6 shots on goal, and their kills only coming in at 77.5. Now, if you saw Connor Bedard back out there, he is getting back in momentum being out there on the ice. He's been a difference maker for his team since coming back from injury, but he can't do it all out there. And I do think the Flyers will be okay, you guys, we are back. I'm not sure what happened to the internet connection there. Apologies. I'm not sure where I was when we froze up. I was talking about Okay, keep your fingers crossed, you guys. I'm not sure what happened there. It looks like everything is back to normal. I'm seeing nice, solid blue connection across the board. So Fingers crossed we don't freeze up. So I'm looking here for the Philadelphia Flyers to be able to come out and put 4 goals on Sonderblom. I really do think it's the best way to take this game. Now, I do think you can also look at the Flyers on that puck line. So looking at current odds in this one on that puck line for the Philadelphia Flyers, laying 1.5 here is coming in at plus 104. And I do think it is a super solid way to go in this one. The Flyers should be able to capitalize on the lack of offensive power out of the Chicago Blackhawks. This team, it just isn't finding the back of the net. They're averaging 2.09 goals per game. Their power play is basically non-existent at 13.1%. We look here also, like I said, the Flyers need every single win. They're sitting third in the Metro now. They are the stronger team. We have seen the Chicago Blackhawks cover that puck line in the last 4 versus the Flyers, but I'm not trusting it in this one. They just won 2 of the last 3 meetings versus the Flyers, but the Flyers have won 7 of the last 10. I just don't see them being able to compete well in this one. And we look here at the kill of the Flyers, and I think this is a real difference maker. So the Flyers are killing 86.4% of those penalties, which is second best overall in the league. I think they can do enough in this one to be able to win this game, go over the 3.5 and cover that puck line. Now, if you're looking for anytime goal scorers, Owen Tippett here coming in at plus 120, and Couture, the anytime goal as well at plus 220. I think there's so much value in these. When you look at the Chicago Blackhawks and their lack of scoring, in the last 16 games, they've only put up 23 goals. So if you want to look at a team total here for the Chicago Blackhawks to the under, I don't hate it either, but I would rather have more confidence and just look at this one for the Flyers to score those 4 goals. I think it's a given in this one. Okay. This game might go to OT. Oh, this would be, I don't know. It could go to overtime. It just really depends on how Soderblom shows up. I really do have more faith in what we're seeing out of the Flyers right now. But I could see it. Got the Flyers plus 105 money on the puck line. Yeah, I like that puck line cover for sure. Let's look at the next game here, you guys. Like I said, only 5 on the board today. We have the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Anaheim Ducks. And I tell you, some bad teams are playing, and these are 2 of them today. Tarasov and Gibson expected in goal for both of these teams. Now, looking at the current lines over on FanDuel, the Columbus Blue Jackets at minus 105, the Anaheim Ducks at minus 114, total of 6.5, minus 118 to the over, and minus 104 to the under in this one. When we look here at both of these teams, it's hard to have faith in either one. We saw the Ducks win the last matchup 3-2, and they won the last 5 meetings straight and 9 of the last 10. So looking at Columbus on their second night of a back-to-back, it's really hard to back this team. Let's just look at those current odds. Minus 105, though, and minus 114. Do we really want to lay the minus 114 on the Ducks? I'm going to look at a couple of things here. One, I think it's going to be a highest scoring game. I think you can look at the over 1.5 in the first period, but it's at minus 140. The over 6.5, that total is juiced at minus 118. I don't hate that. I also think you look at which team you believe is going to score those 4 goals, because I do think this is a 4-3 game. With Columbus on the second night of a back-to-back, I really do think this Ducks team, even though I don't like to back them, is a good way to look at their over 3.5. They're over 3.5 coming in at plus 114 here. So I think there's going to be tired legs here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is the end of a West Coast trip for them. They just want to get through this game and get back home. Like I said, last game on the road, I believe it was 4 games on the road. They are sitting 8th in the Metro. This team absolutely struggling. We got the Ducks 7th in the Pacific, and they did win the last one in a lower scoring fashion, but I do think they will be able to find the back of the net in this one. So give me the Ducks team total over 3.5. If you really want to back the Columbus Blue Jackets, their team total over 3.5 is plus 116. So you're getting a little bit more value, but I am choosing to back the Ducks in this one. You took the Columbus Blue Jackets on that money line. Okay. And you got the Ducks quacking. I think the Ducks are quacking in this one. The next game on deck, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Arizona Coyotes. This could be our upset of the night, you guys. Look at the scheduling spot for Toronto before you automatically go and take Toronto in this matchup. We have Toronto rolling in at minus 182, and yes, they need this win. They're doing the run into the playoffs, and every single win counts, but you look at their schedule, and it's really hard 2 games ahead of them. If they overlook the Arizona Coyotes tonight, the Coyotes could get the win, and they're coming in at plus 150. Now, this total is 6.5, juice to that over at minus 124. I would take it to the over all day long in this one before I looked at that under, but you will get plus money if you take it to the under. The Toronto Maple Leafs on the puck line laying 1.5 is minus 130, and the Arizona Coyotes plus the 1.5 on the puck line is minus 156. Now, parlay piece, I do think you can look at the Coyotes plus 1.5 on that puck line. They've covered the puck line in the last 7 versus Toronto, but they've won the last 4 straight up. I do think Toronto will be in a little bit of a look ahead situation just because of that schedule. They've got Vegas on deck tomorrow, and then the Colorado Avalanche on deck on Saturday. They're sitting 3rd in the Atlantic right now. And we got the Arizona Coyotes at home in Mullet Arena sitting 7th in the Central. And yes, Toronto is a better team. We know something about Toronto. We know they play down to their competition, and they also play up to their competition. If they come in here and overlook the Arizona Coyotes, we will get that plus money at plus 150. This is how I would take it. If I was you, I would take the team total, the Arizona Coyotes on the puck line plus 1.5 at minus 152 with a sprinkle on that money line. Or I would take the Arizona Coyotes over 2.5 goals. I actually like this better. It's minus 142 instead of the minus 152. So the over 2.5 goals. We know this team has been able to put up those goals on harder defenses here. We saw them go over 2.5 in their last 2 games. One was versus the Oilers, who have been locking down pretty solid, and the Oilers have been in these comeback fights and scored late on Arizona. So I do think the Coyotes, to start off hot at home in Mullet Arena, go over the 2.5 at minus 142 is a solid way. I am sprinkling on that money line. One thing you could look at, though, the Coyotes, just a stat, just a trend. If you want to get some plus money and you don't want to back the Coyotes here, the last 4 games in the first period, they have lost at home in Mullet Arena. I could see this being a 2-1 first period. So I like the over 1.5, and I like the both teams to score. But I don't hate Toronto in the first period because I do think they could get up 2-1 as they want to start off this game nice and hot. I just worry about the Coyotes coming back. So Toronto first period puck line is coming in at plus 136. I love all those bets. The over 1.5, though, it's juicy at minus 140, but I could see all of them coming in nicely. All we need is Toronto to win the first period 2-1. We get the over 1.5, both teams to score, and Toronto on that puck line first period. And then I do think Coyotes, they have every chance, you guys. Toronto shall win tonight. They should. There is a situation where they should win this one, but I tell you, this is crazy. Matthews will want to score his 50th at home. Yeah, you can look at Austin Matthews for his anytime goal. The books are really juicing his anytime goals. They're coming in at like minus 125. You could see that coming in. Okay, the Boston Bruins and the Edmonton Oilers. The Boston Bruins coming in here at plus 112. The Edmonton Oilers at minus 134. Total of 6.5. Plus 100 to the over and minus 122 to the under. I do think defenses have to lock down in this game. We keep saying this, though, about Edmonton and Boston, that both of the defenses need to start locking down and they need to get back to their defensive ways. Will we see it tonight versus these two at home? I'm not banking on it, you guys. We know everything can open up. I am going to bank on the Boston Bruins, though, to roll into Edmonton and record the win. We're getting great plus money with them. Now it's plus 112. It was plus 118 earlier in the day. When we look at Boston in Edmonton, there has been road ice advantage. They've won the last 3 meetings in Edmonton. They're coming off that win versus the Stars in a shootout 4-3. And I think they carry that momentum into today. Now, the Edmonton Oilers, they have been having frantic comeback wins. We saw them versus the Arizona Coyotes. The Coyotes got up nice and fast. That third period was where Edmonton did their damage, able to win that game 6-3. If Edmonton goes down a couple of goals in this one and Boston gets up quick, live bet the Edmonton Oilers plus whatever it is on that puck line, because I do think this is a tight game to the very end, but one that I do think Boston has every ability to win. Boston's on the first night of a back-to-back. They will play my Calgary Flames tomorrow. Then they have the Canucks on deck on Saturday and the Kraken on Monday. So they're doing the Pacific road trip right now. We look at the Edmonton Oilers. This is their first game home off a 3-game road trip. They've won and covered the puck line the last 8 at home. So this has been a strong place for them, but they have been on the road. You guys know I don't love that. Now they're sitting third in the Pacific and they've won 20 of their last 23 games. We know how hot Edmonton was. The whole reason why they've been able to win the majority of their games is locking down on that defensive side of the puck. And I really do think we need that out of both of these teams tonight. And I want to see both of them get back into that current form. I just don't know if I'm going to see it. So I can't touch that total. I will hit Boston here. I think they're the right side. And I will come back with Edmonton if and when they get down in this game. And if it's Boston that gets down, you guys, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I think there's a nice opportunity for one of these teams to get up by 2 goals in the first period and us to come back in on the other side. Now, when we're looking at goal scorers here, Pasternak, anytime goal. For the Boston Bruins, we know he's leading this team and he's been absolutely pivotal for them to get these wins. His anytime goals coming in at -105. And then for the Edmonton Oilers, I have to look at Connor McDavid. Now, Connor McDavid has been held off the scoreboard. He's got the points. He hasn't been getting those goals in the last 6 games. He has yet to record a goal. I do think he is due tonight, if you want to use that word. He's coming in at +125 for the anytime goal. Now, he has 4 goals and 12 assists in 11 games versus the Boston Bruins. So if you want to look at that assist, you could look at that. But I do think tonight is pivotal for Connor McDavid to get that anytime goal. So I will take him for the anytime goal at +125. Pasternak has 9 goals and 5 assists in 13 games versus the Oilers in his career. So, and Draisaitl has been rolling so phenomenally hot for Edmonton. So I don't blame you if you look at Leon Draisaitl instead for that anytime goal. He has 3 goals and 5 assists and is riding a 4-game point streak in those last 4 games. So he has been on fire. Okay, you're going to take Edmonton on the puck line. It is brave taking Edmonton on the puck line. I would love to see you be able to get that. That's going to be great plus money. Yeah, I think this total is a nice fast bet too, because I think we're going to see that scoring right out of the gate in the first period. This line is going to bump to 7.5, and then I'm going to hit it to that under. I think if it's 7.5, it could be a 4-3 style game, but I do think right away we see that high scoring one there. Edmonton, you don't trust Boston yet. I have a hard time not trusting Boston. I do think they could play a solid game here. Dedmonton, I love when you guys call them Dedmonton. Bruins and the over for you. Let's look at some of those shots on goal. You guys asking about those shots on goal. Let me just pull that up. The road team has won the last 6 meetings between Boston and Edmonton as well. There is road ice advantage between these teams. So let's look at shots on goal for this one and see where we can find a value for these players. Now, we're going to have to start looking, at the 4+ shots on goal. When we look at the goaltending matchup here, we should have Ullmark and Skinner. I still don't have the faith in Skinner and this defense of the Edmonton Oilers. We need them to get back into that form. Now, the Boston Bruins allow those shots to come in. They're allowing 31.3 shots on net per game. This defense has had struggles, although their kill is phenomenal, 81.4. I'm going to look at a couple of Oilers players to be able to get those shots, because if the Oilers come out like they should on the defensive side, they should be able to limit the shots on Skinner. They need to give him the support. So I will look at the Boston Bruins. So if you look at where are we going to get value, Brad Marchand here coming out for the Boston Bruins. Oh, sorry. We want to look at the Edmonton shots on Ullmark. So Connor McDavid's coming in at +108 for 4+ shots on goal. I would look at someone else. I'm looking at Connor McDavid for the anytime goal. They're going to do their best to try to limit his ability to get those shots. The players are going to jump in front of the puck a lot more in front of Connor McDavid. So let's look at Evander Kane. Evander Kane, 4+ shots on goal tonight. We're getting great value at +185. I just want to see his 3+ shots is -140. I don't like laying that juice, so I would bump it up to 4. It's going to be pretty tight to that number. Corey Perry, someone else to look at here. Corey Perry to really step up in this one. Corey Perry is coming in at +390 for 4+ shots. If you want to look at Corey Perry for the 3+, you're still getting value at +150. I would put a quarter on him for 3+ at +115 and a quarter on him for 4+ at plus 390. I do think that's a really solid way to go. Now, Darnell Nurse is another player to really circle here for Edmonton to be able to get those shots. He can be phenomenal out there in some of those games. So Darnell Nurse for 4+ shots on goal is plus 460. For 3+ is plus 182. So I like those. That's where I'm going to go with those shots on goal. Charlie McAvoy is an interesting one to look at for the Boston Bruins as well. Like I said, I think Edmonton's really going to lock down on the defensive side and try to limit Boston's ability to get these shots. But when we look at a player like Charlie McAvoy, I think they'll be all over Brad Marchand and Pasternak here. And we'll see players like McAvoy be able to get a little bit more open out there on the ice. So he's coming in at 3+ shots on goal at plus 195. I do think that is a solid way to go if you're looking for shots out of the Boston Bruins. So that is everything. You're liking Nurse as well. And yeah, Evander Kane has been playing good tonight. Favorite player of the night for the Flyers, you got to look at Owen Tippett there. I think Owen Tippett should be able to have a nice, strong game. DeBrusque under 0.5 point autoplay. Okay, yeah, what value are you getting for him after under 0.5 point if I can talk? So let us know what you're getting. But you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Again, I'm on Game Time Decisions at 7 o'clock Eastern with Kevin Walsh. So make sure you come over and join me there. We'll be going over a couple different things on the ice tonight. And I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me here on the daily. You guys make this day so great. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice. I will see you later over on the grid. Bye, you guys.